Good evening. Welcome to the QCIS channel, where you get your daily dose science, technology, engineering, and math. And we are headed for the end of 2022. So during this week, I want to talk about infrastructure. Now, this is going to be a four-part series that deals with infrastructure. We'll talk tonight, it'll be our first video. We're going to talk about construction management. Now, basically, when we deal with construction management, we talk about person who's in charge of overseeing the project from the start to finish. Now, let me share my screen and let's get into it. When we deal with construction management, as we know it, what is construction management? Well, one of my favorite organizations that I am still a member of is called the CMAA. It's the Construction Management Association of America. Now, what that is, it's basically a U.S. construction management certification and advocacy body. So, what they define construction management as, it's basically a professional service that provides a project's owner with an effective management of a project schedule, cost, quality, safety, and scope, as well as function. Construction management works for all delivery methods, no matter the setting. A construction manager's, or we call them CM's, responsibility is to the owner and to its successful project. So, in the construction management field, just like every other type of field, whether it's hospitality, whether it's engineering, you have a hierarchy. Here in construction, it's the construction job title hierarchy. So to fully understand how construction managers ensure successful projects, let's put it within the context of the four various project stakeholders in the construction job title hierarchy. First, deal with the owner. An owner is an individual or business entity who commissions and funds a project. Owners come from many different industries: real estate, development, healthcare, education, and more. Many don't have dedicated construction oversight teams, and they choose to contract out the work to a certified construction manager. Then you have the construction manager. That's the person or team hired by the owner to provide oversight of the entire project's delivery from planning and pre-construction through construction and turnover. And you have the licensed architect and or engineer. Now that person or firm hired by an owner, what they do, they manage the project design and technical coordination between engineering disciplines. And then you have the GC, known as the general contractor, the team, which is the team hired by an owner to basically oversee day-to-day construction operations, and they also oversee subcontractor productivity during construction. See, the subcontractor bids work to the contractor. So now you have the hierarchy. Now you have to understand that construction management has phases. Well, first we get the planning phase. Now, under the planning phase, you get what you plan for. Measure twice, cut once, a stitch in time saves nine. Whichever phrase you prefer, the main lesson here is that carefully coordinated pre-planning is the first major phase of risk mitigation. Now, during this phase, the owner decides, correction, the owner defines. Okay, let's go back. When we deal with the planning phase, the main objective of the planning phase is we want to coordinate the pre-planning phase. And the pre-planning phase is called risk mitigation. Now, during this phase, the owner defines why there is a need for a building, what their goals and success metrics will be, how the needs and goals will impact the design, scopes for budget and timeline. Now, simultaneously, the construction manager works with the architects, engineers, and other hired consultants to agree on the feasibility of these goals and to do their best to plan ahead for potential construction setbacks. Now, the construction management, let's call it construction manager, not construction management, but we deal with construction management. So basically, let me slow it down a bit. The construction manager basically researches the delivery method, which is the most appropriate considering the task at hand. Now, just because design build is the traditional way of delivering construction projects, it does not mean that it is the best delivery method. In fact, the adversarial relationships engendered by design build often add more stress, cost, and risk to project outcomes. So at best, design build can provide owners with a fixed price contract to start with. But unless it is a traditional project with few unknowns, it is likely the price will change. This can damage relationships and lead to cut corners from contractors. So basically, the greater the risk at the beginning, the more important it is to plan correctly around the right delivery method to avoid additional costs. Nevertheless, the greater the risk at the beginning, the greater the chance for additional cost. Then we go into the pre-construction phase. Now, during the pre-construction phase, early plans are submitted for building permits and general contractor bids. This could include construction management contracts, drawings, and specifications. Meanwhile, the construction manager is in charge of hiring all construction teams and utilizing risk management best practices to ensure that issues are resolved prior to the start of construction. Now, proper risk management minimizes the amount, change orders, and delays down the road. Then we get into the construction phase. So after planning is done, the contractor breaks ground, execution begins. So during construction, the construction manager oversees quality control inspections, site inspections, monitoring general contractor safety programs, monitoring insurance, answers RFI. Now, RFI is a request for information, reviewing and approving technical submittals, coordinating permits, managing the budget, scheduling timely payment for work completed, and ensuring that the project is delivered as designed. Now, all of this keeps the project moving smoothly while keeping stakeholders informed and satisfied. And we get to project closeout. And basically, once punch lists are completed, a punch list is a checklist of the items that were conducted during a project. Let's say you're on a road and the punch list has items within that road where you're trying to find out where the deficiencies are, because during the final project inspection, there's documentation on what didn't get done right, what did get done right, and what needs to be fixed. Now, again, punch lists are completed, keys and as-built are handed over to the owner. Management of the building is officially turned over from the construction manager and general contractor to the owner. Now, this is important because while the owner hires the contractor to do the job and the construction manager, the owner doesn't own the infrastructure anymore. So once everything is completed, your punch list goes through, management of the building is officially turned over from the construction manager and general contractor. Now the owner owns it. Now the owners must be provided with all project information and closeout documents such as manuals, warranties, as-built, and closeout ledgers. Insurance must also be changed from the course of construction to permanent property insurance. And in some cases, the owner is trained on how to use and manage their facility. Now again, What tools are used in construction management? Well, if you ask any risk management consultant, they'll tell you the truth. The real silent killers aren't nightmarish doomsday risks, but the poor processes that plague a construction manager's every day. Risk management and causes of failures. Now, in a study called Identifying Key Risks in Construction Projects, Life Cycle and Stakeholder Perspectives, researchers analyzed the top 10 risks that are most likely to occur and have a significant impact on your construction or project objectives. On order of importance, they are tight project schedule, design variations, which are variations by the client, excessive approval procedures, high performance and quality expectations, poor project management techniques, and lack of coordination between project participants. Again, lack of coordination between project participants. Again, lack of coordination between project participants. Unavailability of sufficient skilled professionals, incomplete approval and other documents, incomplete or accurate cost estimates, and general safety. And luckily, there are construction management platforms that can create a 3,000-foot view of a project, and it will make it easier to predict and prevent poor micro practices from infringing on project process. Now, when it comes to any type of project management, well, we deal with RFI laws. RFI, I told you, was a request for information. They're upstream requests. Example, questions from GCs for their engineers, architects, or owner for greater clarity about contractual obligations, agreements, drawings, or specifications. They take time and manpower and are usually necessary due to the siloed nature of construction disciplines. You have architecture or architects design the building, engineers deduce how to build it safely, and construction contractors oversee the actual construction. Now, operational silos like these are good and necessary. They allow for individual teams within an organization to use their specific expertise, and they apply it to an individual task and take ownership and responsibility of their work. However, these swimming lanes also create the need for information exchange and requests for clarity between parties. For an example, when bidding or allocating resources for a project, GCs or general contractors may have questions for the engineer about specifications that may impact the amount or quality of materials that need to be ordered from a vendor. Now, the GCs or the general contractor, they need to wait for clarity from the engineer before proceeding at risk, which holds up the progress of a job and leads to additional cost and delayed activity. Now, in an effort to monetize the cost, RFIs create for construction firms Navigant Construction Forum of Navigant Consulting Incorporated reviewed RFI data from 1,362 projects worldwide for a total of 1,083,807 RFIs. Now, the projects ranged in value between $5 million and $5 billion, and each one had an average of 796 RFIs. Now, the research revealed that the RFIs can create significant backlogs, since owners and project managers are required to review and respond to each individual RFI from contractors and subcontractors, noting the cost of each one and the use of the process to make claims against owners. Now, the study also revealed that the cost of reviewing and responding to each individual RFI can cost an average of $1,080, while the collective cost to the project could set a firm back roughly right around $860,000. So in addition, due to requests not considered by the design team, questions already answered in the original contract, or because they are focused on means and methods, more than 1 in 10 of the RFIs were listed as unjustifiable. Collectively, these unjustified RFIs averaged about $113,400 per project. So contractors basically who implement construction project management software can effectively eliminate these delays by making RFIs available to all relevant parties instantaneously. Then we deal with phone logs. Now, construction managers often travel while coordinating multiple different teams and projects. Keeping records of phone logs to document processes is the best practice and form of CYA. CYA stands for cover your ass. That's what you have to do on construction projects. Risk management to ensure payment. Now, some software automatically records phone logs, meeting agendas, and minutes. Then you have delivery logs. More often than not, delivery logs for materials and equipment will be managed by the job site superintendent, project manager, or other site manager job description on the general contractor's team. So as a lead coordinator, construction managers will need to visibly look into this. Now, digital delivery log software will make it easy for the CM to view to go. So basically, this is all documentation. You have to record all your meeting minutes, your phone logs, your delivery logs. Again, when it comes to construction management, this is the individual that is overseeing everything that goes on in the field. Then you have your PERT and CPM or labor planning documentation. And when it comes to project, we deal in scheduling. So deadlines mean different things to different stakeholders. So a practical construction management team or practical construction manager knows that schedules are always in flux. Meanwhile, owners have their eyes on the bottom line at all times. If substantial completion isn't met according to the contract you signed, you could be at risk for lawsuit or liquidated damages. So missed deadlines and project delays are one of the most common reasons for arbitration, second to only cost overruns. This is where the critical path method can help. Now, critical path method, what that is you have a CPM diagram, and what you do, it's the longest path. So you have what we call a forward pass and a backward pass. So when you go to the forward pass and the backward pass, everything, whatever you got at the beginning, you start from 0 and you go to the longest pass. That's the forward pass. And you take the forward pass minus the backward pass, you should get 0. Anything else, you're probably going to get float. And there's different types of float. Now, the critical path method, what that does, it allows for lists of activities to be linked in order of dependency. For example, if you can't pour concrete until rebar has been set and you can't build the second floor of a building, you've built the first. For these reasons, the critical path method is great for proving due diligence in the unfortunate case of a delay dispute. Now, the basics of CPM are cause and effect. The critical path method is used as powerful as the data that you can enter into it. If estimates are off or man hours aren't calculated correctly, you may end up with delays and cost overruns. So don't automatically consider a CPM chart to be the ultimate truth. Unfortunately, it overcomplicates the view of daily tasks and progression timelines for those in the field who need to take a quick glance at the status of the project. Again, CPM diagrams aren't always perfect. Unfortunately, they can be complicated, overkill. And for those who need to take a quick glance at the project. Some people might not even understand the schedule. A lot of it, you have different software to come up with a CPM, like Microsoft Project. There are other ones out there. But a properly thought out schedule allows the project manager, contractor, and owner to coordinate the work and labor resources that are needed to complete projects in a timely manner. Now, again, construction project managers' job functions and key functions. Okay, a construction project manager's job description is simple when observed through the lens of the project management triangle, summed up as fast, good, or cheap. Pick two. The concept asserts that there are firm boundaries on what is possible to produce. The triangle metaphor implies there is no way to provide goods or services that are simultaneously on budget, on time, and of high quality because of the competing nature of these priorities. So it is the construction manager's job to defy that notion and deliver all three to their owner. To do so, they work with all parties, architects, engineers, and general contractors, and take responsibility for budget, construction management contracts, risk management, planning, and of course, management of the team to meet overall design and construction milestones, all according to the owner's expected standards of quality, scope, and function. Now, according to CMAA, which is construction management, I just mentioned it before. CMAA is Construction Management Association of America. Construction Management Association of America. Now, according to them, when fully broken down, there are over 120 construction project management responsibilities. All fall into 7 key functions: project management, cost management, time management, quality management, safety management, contract administration, construction management, professional practices, and that is manage the team working on the project, define each person's role and responsibilities. And you have to set the project scope, known as the SOL. The SOL, a construction project's scope of work. And that generally refers to the list of obligations which is to be built, for how much, and by when, that a contractor, subcontractor, material supplier, or equipment supplier is to produce or install for the owner. Then we get to the construction management and scheduling. Once all initial planning and bidding has informed the project schedule, it is the construction management or the construction manager's job to notify contractors of that schedule. That way, general contractors can schedule labor, equipment, and materials with vendors accordingly. Now, as the liaison between the owner and construction, each construction manager must also delegate tasks to the rest of their team, including estimators, surveyors, designers, and builders. Then we go to allocating resources. In chess, grandmasters run permutations of decision trees with moves and counter moves. Allocating resources is no different. So there are 3 major types of resources in construction: labor, materials, and equipment. Once the project scope is set, allocating the proper resources begins. This includes everything from coordinating workers to their job sites, organizing the timely delivery of materials. So you got to organize timely delivery of materials or building materials, and then you secure equipment and tools. You see, many owners, construction project managers, and GCs, or general contractors, work on more than one project at a time, limiting the pool of available resources at their disposal. So like a master chess player, the construction manager has to see who is available on those specific days and times, what equipment they're going to need or purchase, and where the job site is. Now, if there's too much coverage, the budget increases at the risk of paying people to stand around and wait for something to do. Not enough coverage, and you'll be slowing down the build. So it's a tough balancing act, but there are tools that can help. Then we get into coordinating operations. Construction managers consult on which teams to hire or not based on their risk assessment, obtain work permits, troubleshoot emergencies, schedule walkthroughs, and keep the owner informed on the progress of the projects. Then there's maintaining communication between parties, and communication when it comes to construction management is key. So basically, construction managers work for the owner's interest. What other parties like general contractors, subcontractors, and designers are ultimately working to get paid, and they want to protect their bottom line as well. So when overseeing architects, surveyors, general contractors, specialty contractors, and others, it is important that all these members of the project staff are managed effectively so that everyone is working toward the same goal of producing the best work for the owner. So again, what does a construction manager do during each stage of construction? And we're dealing with the construction management process on a job site. So what construction managers do during each phase of the construction project is largely dependent on the project's delivery methods. Now, this is going to be a review because I did this earlier. So we have different delivery methods, and the first one we're going to get into is IPD, Integrated Project Delivery. And that's basically a method that pulls together all project teams from the architect to the general contractor to owner and interior designer in order to take advantage of all key stakeholder knowledge and maximize the best project outcome. IPD is the highest form of collaboration because all parties are joined by a single contract. Then we have DBB, that's design bid build. And what happens during that? Owners contract the design firm that produces the construction documents and the builder that physically builds the building separately. Again, in design bid build, owners contract the design firm that produces the construction documents and the builder that builds the building physically. They're all contracted at one time. Again, in design bid build, owners contract the design firm that produces the construction documents and the builder that physically builds the building separately. This is a traditional method of delivery and is based on the sequential process of design, construction documents, bidding, and then construction. Now, one that most of us have heard of, if you're in construction, design build. And with design build, the owner manages only one project with a single point of responsibility. The designer and contractor work together from the beginning as a team, providing unified project recommendations to fit the owner's schedule and budget. Any changes are addressed by the entire team, leading to collaborative problem solving and innovation, not excuses or blame shifting. So while single source contracting is the fundamental difference between design build and the old ways, equally important is the culture of collaboration inherent to design build. Then we get into bidding. Now, during a bidding process, the construction manager consults on which contractors to hire. Price is just one component of that. They're also in charge of assessing the level of risk of each contractor to ensure that all safety, financial, and insurance records don't present any red flags about why their bid should not be accepted. Then there is feasibility. Feasibility studies are generally conducted during the planning process to determine if the project is viable and whether or not additional capital investment or financing is needed. Feasibility studies generally consist of land surveys, building permits, zoning laws, impact reports on the surrounding environment and natural habits, traffic issues, and general impact on businesses in the area, as well as the overall market opportunity. We get into pre-construction. A project manager is in charge of pre-qualifying and procuring the professional teams. This mostly consists of managing contracts and insurance, accepting bids from general contractors, assessing the level of risk of each potential general contractor, and incorporating all of their rough estimates of scope into the total project budget and schedule. We get into procurement. Now, procurement is a process in the pre-construction phase in which the construction manager helps to acquire bids for equipment, materials, and construction services. They then technically and commercially evaluate those bids and issue purchase orders and negotiate construction contracts. Then we get into construction. Again, construction managers oversee the daily operations of general contractors, specialty contractors, vendors, and other project staff. Their main goal during construction is to make sure that the project runs according to schedule and budget. Then there's change management. Now, on a construction project, a change event is any change that affects the original scope of a construction project. It can be any event that affects the scope of work to be completed, causes a change to the project schedule, or results in unexpected costs. While the quantity and scope of change orders can certainly be reduced with proper design and planning, any decent sized project will have them. Planning for this eventually upfront and having the proper systems and procedures in place is crucial for setting everyone up for success. Then we deal with occupancy, and that's the phase in post-construction after the completion of the build and close out of all punch lists, keys, as-bills, and other information that the owner needs to manage their new building must be handed over. The owner prepares to open doors for business. Then there's delegating tasks. And when you delegate tasks, that comes with allocating resources in construction. And it's one of the biggest chess games of a construction manager's life. As the main liaisons between the owner and construction, each construction manager delegates tasks to their team of estimators, surveyors, designers, and builders, all while orchestrating the progress of each toward one singular goal: on time, on budget, and quality bids. And then there's notifying contractors of scheduling. So once all initial planning and bidding has informed the project schedule, general contractors need to be informed so that they can schedule labor, equipment, and materials with vendors accordingly. Then, of course, construction manager versus the general contractor. What's the difference? Well, generally, you could have an at-risk construction manager, which could be the contractor, and a contract manager or construction manager who is the liaison between construction and, of course, the owner. So both the construction manager and the general contractor job descriptions describe themselves as head contractors on the job, which is why it is not surprising that many find it difficult to distinguish general contractors from construction managers. So I'm just going to say this. If you're choosing between a career as a construction manager versus general contractor, this can give you an idea of what the difference between the job descriptions really is. So beyond their similarities, which I'm going to let you know the similarities and differences, general contractors and construction managers have fundamentally different organizational structures, business relationships with owners, and levels of involvement with their project. Now, the commonalities is the general contractor, you have the superintendent, he's basically managing all the field functions. Now, the construction manager is basically the administrator between the contractor and, of course, the owner. Now, you can also call a superintendent a construction manager as well, because the at-risk CM, or the liaison between the owner and contractor, he's doing the paperwork side of construction. And the superintendent is doing the actual operations. But now, what about the differences? Construction manager, project manager for a general contractor. So hiring process and level of involvement. See, construction manager is hired by owners during planning or pre-construction. And what the construction manager does is advises the project owner when hiring general contractors, designers, and architects and more. Now, the project manager for a general contractor is also chosen by owners through a bidding process. And what happens? That becomes involved during the construction phase. Now, responsibilities. Well, the construction manager basically collaborates with engineers and architects assigned to a project to make sure it runs smoothly, hiring low-level managers to oversee particular parts of the project, creating project budgets and work activity timelines, analyzing and providing guidance on contracts or technical material to colleagues. So that's the construction manager. Now, for the contractor, they're examining construction diagrams and contract terms to set an appropriate bid amount to present to the client, communicating with the project architect during the construction phase, hiring reliable, and also hires reliable contractors to handle specialized work such as HVAC, plumbing, electrical work, and the project manager for a general contractor is to ensure that all work is completed correctly and on time. Now, organizational structure, very different as well. Well, the CM, what happens under a CM, all individuals or teams of consultants, not rank or file employees who perform actual construction. They are estimators, project managers, accountants, or other professionals with responsibilities that come into play before, during, and after a project. So with the general contractor, project manager, business entities with their own field and office employees like executives, administrators, finance, project managers, superintendents, foremen. They hire their own network of trusted business partners like specialty subcontractors and vendors. What about owner relationships? Well, the construction manager, what he does or she does, perform their functions at the behest of the owner. The CM assists during pre-construction by hiring subcontractors or on larger projects, one or more general contractors. And what happens? Work from a predetermined fee so they aren't in a competitive relationship with the owner in which they're trying to keep costs down so they can make a profit on their bid amount. Now, when it comes to the project manager of a GC or a general contractor, they get new projects through competitive bidding and are therefore third parties in a construction process from the start. So the GC provides a set price and builds all aspects of the project that are covered in the contract. So if the GC manages to spend less than the bid price, then the profit is made. When unforeseen issues arise, as they usually do, they aren't already included in the contract. Then the owner must pay additional fees to cover the costs, change the specifications, or reduce the project scope. So when it comes to construction managers, their place in the construction job title hierarchy, again, construction managers are hired from the very beginning of planning a capital project. Construction managers are hired from the very beginning of planning a capital project. Then they develop and participate in the pre-construction process. They offer input regarding the realities of cost, features, specifications, and materials to help arrive at more accurate estimates. Because the CM gets involved in the project early, he or she can recommend adjustments to processes and materials to achieve higher value in the end. So basically what I have up here are the salaries that some construction managers make. I will leave the link at the end of this video. And if you are interested in construction, you take a look at this link and you'll find out how to get there. Generally, the new way to become a construction manager is you go and get a college degree, and you don't necessarily have to get a college degree in construction management. You can get one in architecture. You can get one in civil engineering technology, civil engineering, architectural engineering technology. One of the best ones I see is if you get one in construction engineering technology or construction management engineering technology. Why do I say that? Because you have an idea of the design process and the construction process. So you're right there as a liaison between construction management and design. Like I said, this link is by Procore. I'm going to leave the link in the video so you can check it out. But what I wanted to bring you was information on what construction managers actually do. Again, this is the first video of, I call it Infrastructure Week, because you need to understand what goes into building a project. Everybody thinks, well, they can step out there with some materials and just build a project. There are a lot of things that go into building a project, including inspections, specifications. So again, if you're interested in construction management, try out your local community colleges and get some experience, because again, construction management is a good field, but you must understand not just means and methods. You must understand the different types of contracts too. Fixed cost, unit cost. Most state highway jobs use unit costs. So that's going to be plugged into items, and you're going to have quantities that are going to be in linear feet, square yards each. There's going to be volumes, pounds per cubic feet, all types of units. But again, construction management is basically having someone become a liaison between the owner and the contractor to oversee time management, cost management, oversee administrative duties such as change orders, inspection, surveying, design, and they must be good collaborators. So I hope you enjoyed this video on construction management. I'm going to have part 2 tomorrow, and I may get into engineering or architecture, but again, I'm very familiar with construction. I work in it myself, very good field. So tell me what you think of this video. And once again, that concludes this video on construction management. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. And if you're looking for some content regarding politics, news, and social issues, you check out my main channel, the 411 Talk Zone Radio Show on YouTube. Now, if you can't find the 411 Talk Zone Radio Show or the QCIS channel on YouTube, you can check both of those channels out on LinkedIn. Now, for the QCIS channel, I take it one step further since it's an educational channel. You can also find that channel out on LinkedIn. Once again, thank you for viewing this video on construction management. My name is Leon Jones. Till next time, I want you to have a wonderful and gracious day, and thank you for viewing this video from the QCIS channel. On this channel, get a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. Once again, I want to say a pleasant good night, and God bless.